Going through a breakup with an avoidant can be one of the most confusing experiences of your life. Oftentimes you're blindsided by the breakup. You thought things were going fine. You have a small disagreement over a seemingly normal relationship issue, and all of a sudden, they're gone. And because you're human, you want answers. The problem is, a dismissive avoidant person isn't going to be the one to give you closure. So what do? We run to the internet, we run to YouTube, looking for answers that our ex-partner will never give to us. Like, did my dismissive avoidant partner ever really love me? Is there something I did that accidentally scared them away? And of course, will my avoidant ex ever return to me? Well, after 20 years of experience with avoidant, emotionally stunted, unavailable people, I have a few questions of my own, starting with, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Now, you might think that that sounds bitchy and cold and unempathetic, but that's the mindset. That's where I had to finally go to get to a place where I could rescue myself from a future of being alone. And the reason I would end up alone is because my everything, my heart, my soul, my brain, my emotions, they were always wrapped up in another human being who gave almost nothing in return. And in the end, they always left anyway. And this wasn't one relationship. This pattern repeated itself over and over for years until the day I finally sat down, painted my nails, and asked myself, why the hell do I care so much what someone else thinks of me who doesn't even respect me or love me enough to try to overcome obstacles that occur naturally within a relationship? Well, I finally decided I wasn't going to do it anymore. It was costing me too much. It was costing me 6 months of my life with this guy, and a year of my life with this guy, and 2 years of my life with this guy, and tick, tick, tick. Just ticking down years of my life and my youth away. And as a woman with a biological clock, if you can imagine, I was super stoked. The most insidious part is you don't even realize how much it's costing you while you're in it. Because when you're in it, you feel like you're just trying to survive. You might even get really good at suppressing yourself and your needs because you don't want to accidentally scare the other person away with your unreasonable emotional demands. Trying to change who I really was and what made me comfortable in relationships just to try to appease an avoidant ex or bring them back into my life turned me into an unhappy, miserable, depressed shell of a person. I lost so many years in my youth to being unhappy. And if you think that even now, when I do have a happy life, that I don't have days where I look back and think, man, I wish I had those years back, well, you'd be wrong. Losing your lifespan to people who never deserved it is a bitter pill to choke down. And it's one of the biggest reasons that I created this channel, was to try to help people who feel like they're stuck in these relationships that are sucking the life out of them. And if you're ready to stop paying the price of months or years to someone who could not love you, then grab a bottle of nail polish and let's talk. If you're someone who is very loving and caring and supportive and empathetic, and you give your all in relationships, that's awesome. But as an anxious person who's always been drawn to avoidant people, I know that sometimes being overly empathetic was my Achilles heel. It's not just keeping you in relationships. It can keep you in a relationship with that person even when the relationship doesn't exist anymore. I stayed loyal to an avoidant who broke up with me for 2 years, because after we broke up, I also went to the internet for advice, and I was flooded with all of this information, and I used it to try to be more understanding to the person who abandoned me. But I know it's so hard when we care about that person, especially if they do break up with us and we research all these things on avoidance. And you know what? We cared about them. We can't just turn our feelings off like a light switch, and avoidance can't either. They have feelings. They're people too. They're people who deal with relationships a lot differently than we do. And we can understand this. And we can learn that they are the way they are because something bad happened to them when they were growing up, and this is how they learned to survive. We can certainly empathize with it. It's sad. I'm a mother. I don't ever want to think of a little kid that was neglected so hard when they were younger that they grew up being afraid of love. I can understand it. I can be sad. I can empathize with it. But I had to learn how to say, you know what? Who cares? Who cares when they're treating me like crap? Who cares when they're wasting my time? Who cares when I'm in a relationship with someone who doesn't care about my feelings, who won't empathize with me? But part of the problem with being so empathetic is sometimes it can be to our detriment. I know in the past I would be in a relationship with someone and they would pull a move that was pretty unkind and uncaring and was giving no thought to how I felt. Now, I would rightfully be angry and upset. I would feel like my boundaries were violated, and I would go on the internet demanding answers because the person I was in a relationship with would stonewall me. So I would go to Google and I would learn all these reasons why my avoidant partner was treating me so badly, because they had all this pain in their childhood and all of this pain in the past romantic experience. And suddenly I would be flooded with empathy. Oh my gosh, I have to be strong now. I know I'm feeling pain, but I need to push past it because they've been so hurt and abandoned in their life. What would they think of me if I abandoned them? Who cares? I know in the moment, and especially during breakups with someone that we care about, we feel like we have to sympathize with them and that it's our job to teach them that no matter what, we will be here for them. And finally, someday, they will learn that relationships are not an unsafe place. We can teach them that they're safe with us. Why does it have to be us? Why does it have to be me? Why does it have to be you? And I know I'm talking about avoidance, but honestly, what is it costing you to stay in the life of anyone who didn't value you enough to want to keep you in their life? Or anyone that you're currently in a relationship with who doesn't care enough, who's perfectly fine knowing that you're unhappy and they can't get over their fear of a tough conversation to try to work things out with you. Anyone who's not willing to put in the same work that you are. Because the truth is, we all struggle with mental health issues in relationships. And if you would like to learn more about navigating the dating world with a healthier, happier mindset, please subscribe and share this video with someone that you know who might be going through a really hard breakup, because goodness knows, I wish I had learned this stuff years ago. Love is never a bad thing, but don't let your love and attachment to someone cost you the most precious things in life. I paid the price of hanging around people who rejected me. It cost me my time. It cost me too much. And if I didn't start asking myself, who cares? I'd probably still be messing around with these people today instead of having the memories that I have now. A lot of times people who are avoidant will come back into your life in the form of orbiting or sending you breadcrumb texts every once in a while. Well, last Christmas, around 7:30 a.m., I was receiving text messages from avoidant exes of my past. I mean, these guys couldn't push me away. They couldn't run out the door fast enough. But yet, years later, first thing in the morning on Christmas morning, they're wishing me a Merry Christmas. Now, trust me when I tell you that these were guys that caused me a great deal of emotional pain. And as the years have gone by, I've watched them struggle to make relationships work with anybody. They're still alone. And on Christmas morning, they're texting their ex, Merry Christmas. Maybe it's because they remember how nice I was, how sensitive I was to them, how empathetic and understanding I was. Who knows? Who cares? Now, let me tell you the difference between the Maria of the past and the Maria of the present. Maria in the past would have seen those text messages. Now, I'm not a monster, and these people are people that I used to care about. They were my friends, they were my lovers, and I do believe that the Maria of the past probably would have texted them back or thought about how sad the situation was, how lonely they were because of past things that they've experienced, and maybe it's my job to cheer them up today. I could get them a gift, I could give them a visit, I could cook them something so they won't be alone on Christmas. Even though it'll cost me, they won't be alone on Christmas. But fast forward to now, do you want to know how I felt now looking at those text messages? I felt nothing. I didn't see the text messages because I was opening up presents with my family on Christmas morning. Avoidants have a lot of fear when it comes to deep relationships, and it costs them a great deal too. Clinging to exes and not being able to push through relationship fear costs everybody across the board. But that Christmas morning, I can't tell you how relieved I was that I was able to push through the fear and decide that I was no longer letting my avoidant exes cost me my life. Welcome to the other half, a place where it's not selfish to learn how to put yourself first. And while it's okay to care about people, it's not okay to kiss their butt and be so overly sensitive that we put all of our relationship dreams and goals on the back burner. I am so glad I started taking care of my inner half, the other half of me, the half that knew that it wasn't wrong to expect to have a happy holiday with someone who was actually there and present with me. And I know that we can get very jaded because after a while, after you've been in these relationships for so long, it does make you feel like the best parts of you, your empathy, your sensitivity, your kindness, your support, these are all things that have been used, taken advantage of, exploited. Don't let the toxic people of your past suppress and take from you the very best parts of you. When you begin to experience relationships with the people who are right for you, with people who choose you back and put in just as much effort as you do, you'll find that there's no problem holding on to your empathy and your sensitivity and your loving nature and your kindness. And you also know that you don't need to kiss anyone's ass, not even when they're wearing the cutest bikini bottoms by ILNP. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting the other half.